So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd first like you to close all existing models. You can do that with File, Close All. Okay? Secondly, I would like you to go and call up the creation of a new model. Specifically, we're going to go and do File, New, and I'm just thinking of the means to do this. What we'll do is we will say GIS clinic model, and this will be with time measured in days, okay? Great. Okay, so we're going to go through a set of delicate steps in the first little part of this that are going to require a lot of attention. And I apologize for this, but it's part of the nature of the GIS environment that it's a little bit finicky. And we will need to make close use of TA oversight as well, okay? Great. Okay, so we're going to, and I'd like a TA to take down my steps here. So I'd like to have one of the TAs assigned to recording my steps, because I'm going to be doing something I've never done before, okay? Okay, so number one, I would like you to go and within this model, you're going to we're going to drag in from the and I believe it's in the I've got to be careful here, presentation palette. Okay, no, I'm not correct on that. So give me just a second. Excuse me. Gosh, I should know this. Okay, I've just got to get it up here so I can follow at least some instructions. Okay. Okay. Okay, GIS, here we go. Okay, right. Okay, sorry folks, I'm just trying to find the exact place this GIS lives. Here we go, and we'll follow that. Okay, excellent. Okay, it's in the space markup palette, okay? So there's a thing called space markup here within the palette. It looks like kind of a nexus, kind of a set of knots in space markup. I'd like you to go to that in the palette and make sure that main is selected. And I'd like you to drag in to your model, into main, this thing called GIS Map, okay? GIS Map, do you see that? I'd like you to drag it in and place it here in main. Now, you notice when you do that, you'll be presented with a very generic map, one that doesn't even include the current location. So what we're going to do is we are going to make sure we stay in sync. We're going to focus this on Saskatoon, but if people are interested in pursuing this for your home city or a city of particular interest, you're welcome to do so. Just be aware that the details will differ very slightly. And we'll try to get TAs to support you as necessary. But if you want to follow most closely, you can do so for Saskatoon. Okay? Okay, next. I'd like you to, having dragged this in, I'd like you to double click on the map. And you'll notice when you double click, you should see in the upper left, there should be a little search bar. Do you see that? Okay. I'd like you to go to that search bar. And you'll notice here that you can search for particular points, things like a clinic or a store or a particular school or what have you. Or you can search for a home, okay, in that point. Or in the region area, you could search for jurisdictions, like, you know, a province or a state or a city, in fact. So what we want is a region here. And in that region, we're going to go and type Saskatoon. Now, there is an issue with Macs in previous versions of AnyLogic, and maybe extends to this one, that when you see this, to see the point region, if you don't see this, you may have to right-click in the search area and then click back into it before it shows this distinction. So only if you don't see this choice on a Mac, you can right-click here and then click in that region again, and it should allow you to see those choices, okay? Be aware, the TAs are here to help. We will need the full complement of TAs for this session because we're going to have a lot going on. So if there's TAs in the nether regions, we should summon them to the site of battle. Okay. So typing Saskatoon here, and thanks. Yeah, that's great. Thanks a ton. Much appreciated. So we're then going to do this search. Okay. And when we perform a search here, we will see some items selected, and I'm actually a little bit surprised that we don't see all of Saskatoon. We only see the Saskatoon Golf Club, okay, which is an unexpected result. But I'm going to do something which may change this, and it's something you should be aware of, okay? So you'll notice it showed this to us, but it actually placed it. The Saskatoon Golf Club is in Michigan. And that's not our interest. You'll notice, though, that it's just within this map. Do you see it up there? That little thing? And this is a classic problem that will come up from time to time because of an issue with this. If you have a certain region selected within this context, it is going to try to find things within here preferentially, okay? And if it finds something, it may not list things globally, more generally, that are not in that location. So I suspect if I search, for example, for Hong Kong, it might find lots of Hong Kong restaurants, but not the actual jurisdiction of Hong Kong, because it's not currently shown in the map, okay? So what we're going to do to ameliorate this difficulty, we will go and double click on the map and move it so that it includes the region of our fair city, okay? I'm talking here of Saskatoon, not Hong Kong, fair as though she be as well. Okay, so I double clicked on the map and I moved, I double clicked on the map and I moved it to make sure it included a good view of Canada. I would note that Saskatoon is somewhere near where my mouse is. contrary to anyone's expectations who might have come here in winter, it's not located on the far tip of Baffin Island. Okay, so for the region, I'm going to go here again. I'm going to search for the region of Saskatoon. And this time, we can actually see that we found two Saskatoons. One of them is in Deutschland, but this one is not of interest. I'm not quite sure what it is. I'd like to visit there someday. But instead, we're going to make use of the first of these, okay? So the key point of learning is that working with these maps is a little bit tricky. And if you're not finding what you'd like, make sure that what you're trying to search for is in the viewable area, okay? Now we found, ladies and gentlemen, our quarry. So what I'd like you to do here is I'd like you to right-click. This is important. I'd like you to right-click on Saskatoon here. I trust that there's a TA. Again, I'm asking for one TA to take responsibility for writing down what I'm doing. Good. Excellent. Alex is doing it. Superb. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I am right-clicking on this, and I am saying convert to GIS points or region. Do you see that? Okay, I have to speak more slowly or else I'll bloody my throat again. So ladies and gentlemen, for the search results, we want to right-click on the one in which we're interested, the Census Division 11, and we want to say convert to that. If we've already converted it, it'll be shown with a highlighted feature here, okay? It'll indicate that it's already been selected, okay? So again, right-click on the one, convert to GIS points or region, okay? Okay. Excellent. Yes. Yes.
When we are searching for Saskatchewan, we can add Canada there.
That's true. Yeah, you could search for Saskatoon, Canada, and it would help disambiguate what we're searching for. So we'd be less likely to be posed, for example, to a location in Deutschland, or a location, for that matter, in Michigan. Yes?
I need to know something here. If you're on the Wi-Fi for guest or comment, it is so slow that GIS won't show any regions or points. It won't be able to load them into the visuals, actually.
Thank you. Thank you. So you want to connect to U of S Secure?
That's the only one that I found through yesterday.
Yeah. Not least because I think public or guests might also disconnect you periodically, which could be highly disadvantageous for the coming exercise. So U of S Secure is recommended by both speed and continuity of connection. The machines here that are arrayed within this room, they are afforded fast connections, and it shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice that if you selected it, and again, I would say, right-click on it and do convert to GIS point region, you'll notice that it renders it in a beautiful golden color that highlights the, amongst other things, the great promise of our city. But more than that, up here within this area, within projects, it shows within the map there's a thing called Saskatoon, which has been singled out. And we're going to make use of that in a number of our needs, okay? So make sure that you see that. Or for your fair cities. Okay. How many people need more time? A little bit more time? Okay. We'll wait up. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you now to go, and this is going to take a little bit of time, so we'll allow people to catch up. Aiden, pay attention to what I'm doing as well so that you can help them with it. I'd like you notice it kind of highlighted this area. I'd like you to go zoom in on that area, okay? And if no one else is going to make use of this mouse, I will, because I wouldn't mind enjoying recourse to a mouse through this exercise. So I am going to go and zoom in using the mouse button. I'm going to go zoom into that region, okay? Now, if the mouse is not moving the map itself, if it's moving the whole thing, the whole shebang, like if moving the mouse you get this, the whole thing moving, you're going to want to again double click on it and then you can move around within it. Do you see that? Okay, and having done that, I'd like you to zoom in on the fair city that surrounds us. Okay, and we'll just make sure the entirety is highlighted, because we're going to be searching for features within that city that that we'll need to find, and if they're not shown, they may not be found. It will prefer resources that are shown. Okay. Who needs more time for that? Were you able to zoom in? Move around? So again, a key thing is you need to double click to move around within the map, not simply move the whole darn sort of map window around. You want to double click and make sure you can do it. Okay? So this is the region that's selected. That's why that's got these dotted lines in it. It's selecting the region of Saskatoon, which is not a point, but an entire region. Okay? And having so done, we're going to now turn back to a slightly different need. We've set this up with the requisite view we need to undertake several tasks in coming minutes. Okay, so what I'd like to do is I'd like to go over to the model as a whole, and I'd like to add in several types of agents in turn. The first of them, we'll right-click on the model. Why don't you save it? Save early, save often. Okay? If there's a little asterisk, it indicates that you haven't saved the model. Okay? And you'll want to save it. Okay? Okay. So we will do right-click, new, and we will say agent type. And this agent type is going to be called capital HOME, ladies and gentlemen, home. Okay? So I'd like you to go and add in a home, and I'd like you to say finished here. And we're going to add in that home to this map, okay? Next, I would like you to go to the home, which is shown here, and make sure home is opened up. And we're going to drag in an icon to show for the location of homes. So from the palette, I'd like you to select the presentation area of the palette. And, excuse me, it's not the presentation, it's the pictures area, this one down here, where there's many pictures that afford themselves, okay? And I'd like you to go find the picture that shows a house. Do you see that picture? The house? And I'd like you to drag the house picture up to home, and I'd like you to place it at the origin, okay? Now, this house is going to be a bit large. So for our needs with the map, and I'd like to shrink the house so it's yet smaller. There's two ways we can shrink it. One is we can engage in frobbing behavior by sort of using this and diagonally moving it to engage in resizing. And I made it nice and small using that. Others of you may instead wish to avail yourselves of a scale here, and you could scale it in the XYZ location directions by 0.1 across them uniformly. Okay, just say 0.1 for the scale. Say 0.2, so it's not too small. You can still make out that it's a house. Okay. So for home, we what did we do? We went to the pictures area, we dragged in a house, and then we rescaled it to be nice and small. Do you see that? Okay. Who would like a little bit more time? Okay. Great. Great. Okay. So we're going to be placing homes within this model. We're also going to be placing some other resources. There'll be a clinic and there'll be a person within this model. Are we okay with that? And the person is going to be situated in their home initially, but they will sometimes present for care at the clinic in response to afflictions. And at the clinic, we're going to have a representation of workflow using discrete event modeling. At first, it'll be very simple, as Jeff articulated it in one of the most memorable parts of my last 10 years. At first, people will attend to the clinic, present to the clinic, and they will walk through a healing beam of sorts, which will heal them of their afflictions. And as we'll learn this afternoon from our ministry, healing beams are not a prominent feature of our landscape. We will then refine the clinic to reflect that, to reflect the fact that there's people needed to engage in recovery from many afflictions, and those people being clinicians. And we'll elaborate our model of the clinic with a representation of clinicians and the processes involved in delivering care. We'll elaborate it there. But at first, we're going to add a home resource. And we're going to go, to complete the thought with the home resource, we're going to go to Main, repair down Main, and we are going to drag into Main from home, we're going to drag in to create a population of homes. So you tell me, ladies and gentlemen, we're building familiar skills here. I just dragged in from home in the palette to Main, this thing here. If I wanted to change this to a collection called homes, how would I do this? I'll name it homes, but what other thing do I need to do for this to be a population of homes? Yeah, we have to change it to population of agents there, okay? Up here, we're going to have a population of agents, okay? Great. Excellent. Okay, now we're going to leave it for the moment at 100, but we're going to go and we're going to need to tell any logic where those homes are located, okay? We're going to place them at random locations within the city. Now, we could, if we had GIS data on locations of homes, we could use this. And if anyone is interested, we have a script associated with that, which I'd be glad to share with people. But in this particular case for homes, we're going to distribute them randomly within the city. For other resources such as clinics, we're going to place them at empirical locations of healthcare facilities in just a few minutes. So you'll get to see both. There's a third option where we might have a database that we can read in. Tina is an expert in this and could show that to you, or we could share a little script that Tina created that provides some understanding of how to have different zones, different things located within the map. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we dragged in homes here, and we want them to be located at certain places. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go here. So where do we specify for an agent their initial location? Does anyone remember where we've been using? Where to for is that logic? Does anyone remember when we had to place for that very first model we built in that first day? Where did we go to specify someone X's and Y, their X and Y locations? Was it associated with the personhood? No. Where was it?
It was in the icon.
Yeah, so it was in the population here. So notice for the population, if we grab this population of homes, we can specify place agent. Which of these seems most appropriate? Which of these seems most appropriate here? Okay, so we're going to say in a certain latitude and longitude, okay? We want to associate them with the latitude and longitude, okay? Now, to do this in a neat way, in an appropriate way, we're going to have one more step. Before we can specify the latitude and longitude, there's a way to capture it in a sweet fashion, okay? This is, again, a kind of pattern that we reuse. Alex will note this down as a common reusable pattern, okay? We're trying to identify from these lectures common patterns that we can reuse as a pattern, and we can disseminate those patterns to help people worldwide engage in health modeling. Okay, so to make this sweet, technically sweet and easy to do, we're going to add to home one particular thing. And you're going to tell me what sort of thing it is. We're going to specify an assumption for each person that they have a certain location associated with them. It's a location of their, or associated with each home will be a location. And that will be an assumption about the home that it has a location. And we're going to communicate that assumption to the home when we create it. What sort of thing should I add in any logic that specifies an assumption and communicates that assumption from the point of creation to the thing being created? Parameter is right. So we're going to go to home, and we're going to add into home a parameter. And this parameter will be called location. Okay? Okay? Are we okay with that? Now, what will be the type of this location? It will be, ladies and gentlemen, this parameter got added to home. The type of this will be other. And what will be the other type? It will be, ladies and gentlemen, point with a capital P. It's a point. This will be a point, ladies and gentlemen, and no less than geographic space. Eric, was it successful? Yeah. Okay. Great. So, yes, Patricia.
So if these were homes from a cohort study, this is all secure, right? There's no issues with privacy and sharing, or is none of this goes to the cloud?
It's not going to go to the cloud for the locations of homes, no. So if you were to place the home location here, that would not be something, it would not be sent over the network. Here. Now, when there's routing that goes on, you can use either an encrypted or an unencrypted server for routing, and that can be set via the map properties. And even there, it's going to say, how do I get from X to Y? And it's not going to be clear, which of those, if any, is a home or a location of a clinic or a location of a workplace or something like that. So even there, even if you were to use an unencrypted connection, it's just going from latitude to longitude, and there's no communication of, this is a home for somebody, or this is a workplace for somebody, or this is a clinic location. So even there's kind of and it's certainly not associated with any sort of person information, identifying information. So there's both a layer of kind of, with an unencrypted connection, you're dealing both with sort of security through obscurity, as we call it in IT, as well as it's totally de-identified. But you might want to use if your ethics board has concerns, you could use an encrypted connection to the routing server where all those issues are not even of concern, because it's all encrypted with very strong encryption. Okay? And Winchell, who sits at the back, would be someone suitable for having discussions about the level of security associated with that. Okay? So thanks. Okay, so this is a location, ladies and gentlemen. This is a parameter. So where do we specify the value of a parameter? What's one place we specify the value of the parameter, where we will need to specify it? It's with the what? Population. Okay? So if we go back, do you remember we saw this earlier in the morning? Perhaps it was before you were able, you had your chance to ingest Christina's amazing banana bread. So you weren't fully woken up yet. So ladies and gentlemen, here we're going to make use of a location which is drawn from the city of Saskatoon. Are we ready for this? Okay. Hearing no objections, I'm going to proceed. So, for location, because people have a parameter called location, we need to specify that in the population. Remember that? Remember we did that earlier for birth time? We need to specify an assumption about the parameter. Remember, parameters encode assumptions, and they communicate it from the point of creation to the object. One of the points of creation is at a birth or migration, but another one is for the population. And so for this population, we're going to have to specify locations for these homes. Does that make sense? Okay, so our location, our formula for location, watch this. This is part of the pattern. Is this dot, and you will use Saskatoon dot random point inside, and you will do begin paren, end paren, okay? So we're asking for random point inside of Saskatoon. Now, if you searched instead for an alternative location, Montreal, you could ask for a random point inside Montreal. Or if you search for Hong Kong, you could ask for a random point inside Hong Kong. This Saskatoon, wherein does that live? It lives over here. Inside of Maine, there is presentation, and inside of map, there's Saskatoon. That's where it knows about Saskatoon, because we did, remember we right-clicked earlier and we said convert to GIS pointer region? That's how it knows about Saskatoon by name. Okay? Random point inside. Are we okay with that? Okay, so that's the location. That will be the location parameter. Now the final thing here is that for their latitude and longitude, we'll refer to their location. Does anyone remember in any logic? If I'm setting a feature of an agent that's not yet created, it's about to be created, and I want one property of that agent, like their income, to depend on another thing, like their sex, how do I refer to my sex for the agent to be created? I use a special word. Self. Self, ladies and gentlemen. So for their latitude, we will use self.location.getLatitude. And what will I enter for longitude? Can anyone figure that out? Same basic thing, but with longitude. Self.location.getLongitude. There we go. Are we okay with that? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we should create cardinal rules for any logic. Maybe Alex can start a Google Doc to accompany this. Cardinal rules for any logic. One cardinal rule is build early, build often. Okay? So let's go build and make sure it's a happy camper. We press that button, and notice now it says build completed successfully. Do you see that? Okay. A second cardinal rule. Run early, run often. Okay? So let's run it. After all, ladies and gentlemen, if you make a mistake somewhere along the way after just a few changes, and you run it and you spot there's something wrong, it lets you zero in on where the mistake was made much sooner. If you go a full day before running it, you've added 10 different things and something goes wrong, you don't know which of those 10 where it went wrong. So it's better to run early, run often, to be able to more quickly track down where the problem is and to learn from the results. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to save. Alex, third cardinal rule, save early, save often. Okay, so save it. And I'd like to run it. Yes?
This one's a little bit less severe because any logic typically saves automatically.
Yeah.
But it applies beyond any logic.
Right.
If you rely on any autosave feature, it's
Yeah,
about you.
okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we ran, and what do we see that lies before us? Sorry?
A bunch of random houses.
A bunch of houses at random locations within Saskatoon. Okay? All of them are located at random places within our city. Okay? Now, if you want to pick about it, there's some houses in the industrial area north of town. And it's within city limits, but no one actually, well, okay, maybe there's some, conceivably there are people who on the sly live there. But yeah, they're sort of distributed throughout the city. Okay, great. So ladies and gentlemen, those were placed throughout this region. Irregular though it was, we placed them throughout the region. Yes, question?
I have a question. Actually, this came up in our model where we've been on as well. So let's say you just mentioned there aren't actually going to be houses in that part of the city.
Yeah.
Is there a way to like partition out part of the map so it's not part of that map that you're using?
So in other words, to have subregions like where you
like for
yeah.
ours, we're doing the United States, we want to leave out Alaska and Hawaii.
Yes.
How do you like take that out of the map that you want to use?
Good. This is a very good question. There's actually some ways I know we could readily do that. For example, one way that is immediately straightforward is we could have a little function that we create, and Winchell or Kurt or Tina or any number of different TAs here could help you create a little function that basically draws from the larger region, the United States, and then it for anything it draws, it will throw it out if it's in one of several states, say Hawaii and Alaska. It'll throw it out and get a new one. And there's ways to do this with an economy of mechanism that's just gorgeous. In my software engineering classes, I teach tricks to do that. So it can be done basically in one line, and it's beautiful. We don't have time to cover that here, but they can help you show you how to do that. There may be a way of amalgamating, though, in a more persistent way, several regions into one region, or to say this region without that one in some sort of higher level thing, where you could then name it contiguous US and just test if it's in the contiguous US as a construct. I suspect that might be possible, but I don't know off the top of my head, and that would take some investigation. But worst case, it's a one-liner. I believe we could do it. Extreme worst case, a couple-liner. But yeah, it would be very straightforward to do, and they can help you before the sun sets get that in place. Okay? Yeah. Questions? Yeah.
Is this a shapefile? Could you import a different shapefile and just give it your own custom area?
Yes, I believe that is the case. Unfortunately, Winchell has left the structure, but Scott might be able to say something about that.
What's the question exactly?
Can you import a shapefile and turn it into a region? I'm almost certain the answer is yes.
Yeah, I know you can do that. You also can, you can do it several ways. One is just to take the shapefile itself and then reference it, or you can read the metadata from the shapefile into the internal database game logic and then reference that based on your current location. Just say, if this is my location, what's the shapefile data that I need from it, like traffic conditions or whatever. You can go from there.
So in short, it's very doable. I don't know the degree to which it's a point and click matter,
It requires some coding.
or if there's a bit of coding. But once again, TAs, Winchell, for example, has just arrived, and Winchell or Scott or someone else could work with you to make that happen. So yeah, we could do that very readily. Okay. Other questions, though? I saw another hand up.
Same question.
Great. Yeah, so like Cabri Provincial Park, we could turn into to a region, and then you could place a deer at a random location inside Cabri National Park, and place a separate agent called Maria, that's in that proximity of the deer, right? Yeah, and
That's super close.
yeah, and there can be a message like wrestle. Okay. Okay. Moving right along. Okay, so now we have homes located at random points within city of Saskatoon. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to create a set of. We're going to build expertise. We're going to create a set of workplaces, okay? They too will have a very similar thing. There are going to be fewer of them, and they're going to be located within random points inside Saskatoon. So you know how to do this now, because you've just done it for homes. The first step, we're going to undertake new agent type workplace. There we go, workplace. And yes. Well, I'll be. Okay. Was it working earlier?
Yeah, 10 seconds.
Would you mind summoning the magician? Let me just. Yeah, it's. It seems to be an analog issue, and I'm not. I'm not going to tempt fate. We'll see if one of the IT staff can take a look at it. Thank you for alerting me. Each year I keep on forgetting to bring binoculars. So we'll try to do this again. Could someone remind me tonight to bring binoculars here for tomorrow? Okay. You might be even able to get a sighting of wind chills or in instances of an IDEN. Okay, great. So here we're going to add a workplace. We're going to go to the palette. We're going to add in, I'll be going through this quickly because you know the basic shtick. We're going to add in a factory thing, and we'll make the factory a wee bit smaller so it doesn't dominate the landscape of Saskatoon. So this would be a workplace. And workplaces also are associated with locations. Building up this skill, we're going to drag in a parameter called a location. Does anyone remember for the location, what was its type? Anyone remember? It was a point. Yeah, it was other and then point. Other is just because it's not part of the built-in ones. So is Merlin there?
Yes, yeah, tell me what to try.
Okay, thank you. The advanced routing indicates it's still selected. So, okay, so this is going to be a point. How are we going to add a collection of these? What do we do? Yeah, we go to main. Okay, main, and how do we go add in a population of factories or of workplaces? You drag it in. Okay, here we go. And these are going to be called workplaces. And notice when you add something, notice how it selects this, how it puts this underline. That means you can move it around. So I'm going to avoid it sort of appearing even at all close. I move this little word under here. If you don't see that, just make sure it's selected, and then you can, if it's underlined, you can move it around. Okay. Okay, next, ladies and gentlemen, for location, how are we going to get a random point inside Saskatoon? Okay, so in the population, what do we do? Yeah, so we go to that, and then we say this dot Saskatoon. Don't worry, we're going to be showing how you can have geographically situated things at defined locations in just a moment. And Tina could help you. If people were interested, if you had a list of workplaces around Saskatoon that you want to put in, she'll show you later. She can show you how to read it from a database, a list of places, and put the locations at each of those locations around the city. Tina, raise your hand so people could see her. Tina Thomas, be back here. She can help you with that, okay? Random, or we could give you a script. Random point inside, and oops, we just want random point inside. Okay. We've got a clinic we'll be doing the defined placement for. Okay. Location, and then how do we place them at that location by latitude, longitude? What do we have to do? Initial location, latitude, longitude, and we'll say this dot location dot get latitude and get longitude. Okay? Okay. Oh, self. Thank you. Thank you. Man. Okay, self dot location dot get latitude, self dot location get longitude. Thank you. Just so grateful for my TS. Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, build early, build often. Make sure your model, like my own, is a happy camper. TAs stand ready. Okay, who needs help? TAs are okay. Roberto, sector 3. Okay, others. Who else needs help? Okay, commute. Sector 2. Okay, others. We have a burgeoning supply of TAs this morning, each carrying impressive skills in different sub-areas of modeling. Okay, who else? Sector 2, front. Sector 1, okay? Okay. Okay, who else needs TA help? Okay, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we run these boot camps worldwide on particular sub areas, and there we only have typically 1 or 2 TAs, and they're kept very busy. This is, we have this whole amazing flotilla of veritable dreadnoughts circulating. Yes?
So this is not gonna be a population invasion, it's just one?
Oh, it should be a population. I stand corrected. Thank you, thank you. Your name again?
Mike.
Mike. So Mike pointed out this should be a population. How do we know visually that this isn't a population? Yeah, it should have those 2 dots between the brackets. So, yeah, this is great. So we want to make this a population of workplaces. Do you see that? Okay. Okay. Youngkin, could you retrieve Kurt and have him say what he did to fix that monitor, so I know? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, run early, run often, build and run. So let's run this. Is Kurt outside? Or could you just have him come in and tell me what he did? Yeah. Okay, here we go. Okay, plug it and unplug it from the back. Ladies and gentlemen, when I was a young person, even a young man, we didn't have to reboot TVs and monitors. We also didn't have to reboot phones.
First, we did have to wiggle the
Yeah, you remember that, yeah. So I guess, yeah, we're in a new age. Okay. I'm going to be teaching in here in the fall, and I want to make sure I know these things. Okay, so here we go. Here we have these different workplaces around the city. We're going to have a lot fewer of them, but that will come about. Okay. Great. Okay, next, the plot, ladies and gentlemen, now thickens from several levels, okay? As Jeff notes, even philosophically. Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, we will now add a third type of agent, the third of 4 type of agent. This agent will be clinic, okay? So I'd like you to add in a new agent type called clinic. Clinic. With a capital C. Okay? And we'll repair to the palette and go down to the pictures area. And as Jeff said, now we face a quandary that's philosophic in nature, as well as aesthetic. Do we represent a clinic? Which means do we use to represent a clinic? Is it a warehouse, a retail store, or a factory of health? A box?
Down more in the list, there's a hospital building.
Oh, where is this?
It's the next.
It's the 3D objects.
This in here?
Yeah, 3D objects.
Oh, 3D objects. Okay, this sounds good. Okay, we are released from our worries. Okay, so so we won't add soldiers in. That would lend it to a more transgressive feel. Is it in health? Oh, buildings. Okay, there's a bed and an ultrasound. Okay, and a gurney. Okay, so we'll go to under buildings. Here we go. Thank you. Hospital. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty neat. Yeah, I guess that's about the best option. Okay, so we're going to drag in here. Yeah. Do I want to rescale it with the agent? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Mumble. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete this guy, and I'm going to drag it in and say no this time. So I'm just going to drag this in, and I'm going to say no. Let's just see if this turns out better. I think not.
Oh, it's top down. If you get an orientation on the side.
Oh yeah. Okay. 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 So position. Advanced. Okay. Okay.
There is an additional scale.
There is a. I was looking for the scale.
It's just above the orientation.
Oh, additional scale. Okay, so we'll make it 25% scale. Okay, fair enough. Can we actually type in this?
Yes.
10% or 5%? Well, okay, that's a bit small. So 10%. There we go. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll say that again. 10%. And now we will go select this and engage in keyboard behavior. Okay. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. We now have a rendition of a hospital that is acceptable, courtesy of Matthew. Okay. Okay. So this is a clinic. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will go now. And we're going to place these clinics, but we're not going to place them at random locations. We're going to place them at empirically grounded locations. Okay? So, to perform this task, there's one other thing we should do at clinic while we're here. We might as well do it. We should add in a what? A location indeed. So, excuse me, from the palette, yeah, I can only imagine if the volume was full tilt. Okay, we're gonna set location. Okay, and we're going to associate it with a type of what? Other and point. Yeah. Point. Boom. Okay. Great. Okay. I actually don't know if we're going to need it this time. I'm not sure we need location for this one, but let's. I actually don't think we'll need it, but we'll see. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Now let's sally forth to Maine, and we are going to now do something different than we have been doing. Okay, so what I'd like you to do is go, and we will now double click on the map. Make sure the map is visible here. I'm going to actually, on my computer, it exhibits this palataceous dysfunction. So I'm just going to eliminate that. I'm going to double click here, and I am going to search within this for a point or points, And I'm actually not quite sure the term that I use here, so I'm going to experiment. And I ask you to experiment with me because I'm doing this as a new thing. I'm going to try saying clinic, okay? And I'm just going to see what pulls up. And then I might try saying hospital. I'm going to say clinic. Okay. We have certainly a lot of dental clinics, which is not suitable for my needs. There's minor emergency clinics. We could focus on a subset of them, but I'm going to try searching now for hospital. Okay. I'd like to get something a little bit broad, but not surprisingly, this captures a broad set of facilities. Sorry? Health clinic? Okay, so I could say health clinic, and this would allow me to find a different, there's a LASIK clinic, that's not also what I had in mind, but, oh my gosh. Okay, I pressed delete, okay. Okay, let's hope for undo. A fourth rule, undo early, undo often, okay? Undo delete elements. Any logic is recommended by an undo functionality, okay? So double click and I'm going to say clinic here is probably the best. I will say health. Let me just see what is found with health. Critter's Pet Health Store. Maybe not. Yeah, no. You know what? There's actually no need to purely limit ourselves to one of these. So what I'm going to do, just because it will be appropriate, I'm going to include west winds, which is an important feature of our landscape, particularly for less well-served areas of our city. So I'm going to actually right-click on this, and I'm going to say, create agents at specified location. And I'm going to say here, clinic, okay? How did I do that? I right-clicked here. Sounds almost like I should say I right-clicked. I right-clicked here. And then I'm going to say, create agent at specified elements, and I'm going to say clinic. Are we okay with that? Clinic, ladies and gentlemen. A clinic. And there it creates a clinic. Can you notice that it actually showed it with a certain icon? Whence did this icon come? Yeah, this is the icon for a clinic, as first ferreted out by Matthew. Okay, so that's one of the clinics I want to capture, but I want to capture all the hospitals, so I'm going to say hospital, and I'm going to search for that. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to right-click on Royal University Hospital, and I'm going to say create an agent, clinic, there, and you can see it's updated appropriately. I'm going to say City Hospital. I'm going to right-click and say clinic for that. And St. Paul's. I'm going to right-click and say clinic for that. But due to the nature of the conditions of interest, I'm actually not going to include in here the cancer clinic. Despite its importance for certain types of conditions, for the contagious diseases that we're going to be investigating here, that will not be an important player. Okay, we're not investigating HPV and its distal implications. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, just to make sure we clarify point of understanding. Why is it that for that first one we created, the west winds, that we don't see this little marker there? And is that a problem? The answer is no. It's actually just showing these markers for things that are in this list here. that's not a sign that it's somehow broken. It's just it's not in the currently displaying list. But we don't have to confine our clinics to be drawn from only one list. You know, if we want to include others, we can do so. Okay. And maybe to that end, I'll put a few more clinics here. Okay, clinic. Here I'm finding the West Side Clinic. I believe that's actually probably West Winds as well. And is there any minor emergency? I'll do this one. I'll create an agent at the minor emergency clinic, and maybe one more. This other one on, we've already got the Laurier Drive. Okay, great. Yes? Question? Okay, I thought I heard my name. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have now a set of these clinics created. And I'd like to go, we're done with the map for the second, so we can click off the map. And if we scroll to the left, we'll see there's actually a set of clinics. Do you see that? What are these things doing up here? Whence did they come? Do you recognize these? Where do those come from? Those are the ones we told it to create based on the GIS. It associated them automatically with location information. That's why I said we actually didn't need to add that location parameter after all. Okay, now, this is where I need the Tinarian help. Okay? Because Tina told me that you might be able to right-click on these. There's a way we've always done this, but she told you might be able to right-click and create a population of these. But I don't know, Tina, how to create that population. So I would just create a collection. Is what I've been doing. You see what I mean? Yeah. Is that okay? Yeah. Yeah. So I've always done create collection rather than create population. I wish I had a population of them, and I could do it with a few lines of code, but I think we'll just do create collection. Okay. Okay. Yes.
What's the difference?
A population you could do statistics on. It's a little bit. There's things you could do like add and remove to it that are familiar to people. A collection isn't as specialized, and it'll serve to also group them together and let us draw from them. It's just that it doesn't support quite as nicely certain features that we can use elsewhere. Also, traditionally with populations, we've been able to say, like, move someone from this population to that one. We can't do it here. For all our purposes, they're equally good. It's just, in general, I don't like to teach my students two mechanisms if unnecessary. So I prefer if we could do it as populations. That would be kind of nice, but that's fine. Okay, so we created a collection. So how did I do it? I selected all of them. I said right-click, and I said create collection. And the name of the collection will be clinics. Will be clinics, okay? And it will be an array list. Sure, it'll be an array list, okay? There's many types of collections in any logic. And will it be visible? Yes, okay. Okay, great. We have a set of clinics that have been created. And if we go up here, hey, where did my collections go? Here it is. Wherein does it lie? It lies up here. I'll put it down. Well, I'm tempted to put it down next to the others, the sort of groupings down here, clinics. Okay. So it's a little bit confusing, Patricia, for students to see. You kind of have some of them as population, some as clinics. So it'd be nicer if it was just a population. And Tina may have discovered a way to deal with this. I have to speak with her later about it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so now we have a collection of clinics. Applying the earlier rules, I'd like to build this. Make sure it's a happy camper. Do you folks have the clinics collection? Who needs TA help? Okay, the sector 3. Who else needs TA help? Ladies and gentlemen, let's now run the model. Okay. So now we have 3 types of agents depicted. Clinics, shown as kind of with this kind of office or this building type metaphor. Workplaces shown with these factories, and individual homes shown with the houses. Do you see that? Okay. Incidentally, AnyLogic's database for GIS also has parks in it, which some of you may be interested for physical activity purposes. Yeah.
There isn't like any sort of like index for search terms for that database, is there?
This is a good question. I haven't come across a reference like that, but it may be that indeed that someone has codified that. Scott might know.
Unfortunately, I have not seen anything that is public about it. That's something else you ask AnyLogic is that they know like the index.
Yeah, but I do want to highlight one other thing that is germane to that question, which is if we go to the model and we select this as a resource. So if we go select this this map, you'll notice that there's actually a lot of it that you can specify. So there are these tiles here that you can use to specify sort of the map tiles. And you can also specify routing servers, whether we're trying to figure out car routes or bike routes or foot routes, etc. We had touched on some of that the first day, I think. There's also this shapefile area for importing, I believe, shape files that can be used to sort of go and read in shape files. And there's some additional things you could do to like use a custom route provider, for example, and set some features of scale. The point is that there's a fair bit here that can be customized and can allow you to use your own resources to draw in knowledge of certain GIS components of interest. And I would note that some of these are public domain sources, and others of them are more specialized private ones, or are private ones. So while we might identify that for a particular provider there might be a codified list, it may be that you want to ultimately draw it from a different provider or bring your own shape files, etc. And the TAs could work with you to sort of explore the options there. Okay. Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to add the 4th type of agent to this model. This model is growing increasingly rich. We have homes, we have workplaces, we have clinics, but what's missing? People. People, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I actually chose this order deliberately, as a colleague used to say, with malice of forethought. I did so because people are going to be associated with some of the earlier resources, namely homes, and I want to be able to easily associate them with an existing home. So I actually chose the ordering so that we could refer to homes very directly from person. And there are ways to work around that very readily if we use the different ordering, but I've chosen to do so with convenience in mind. So I'm going to add in the palette again, and we are going to, from the palette, go add some features to person. But first we have to add persons into main, or sorry, we have to add personhood. How do we add person to our model? What do we do? Yeah, so I could do right here, new agent type, for example, okay? And I'm going to call it person with a capital P. That's not privileged. I mean, you could have doctor, you could have patient, you could have participant. Any of those are fine. In person, it's not like it knows, oh, this is a person. They have a diurnal or a sleep cycle or what have you. It doesn't have any particular significance other than it's a useful term for us to use. Okay, it's of human significance. Okay, so for person, let's go add them. Lend them a face upon the world. So we're going to go down to the pictures area, and we're going to associate them with a person representation, and we will make them smaller. Okay. Hey. My attempts at frobbing behavior are crude and ultimately unsuccessful, okay? So if anything, I enlarged it beyond what it should be. So I'm going to make their scale. I'm going to say the scale for this is 0.25 on all dimensions, okay? 0.25. I want it to be large enough we can actually see the color difference, okay? There we go, okay? And we may have to actually frob that setting a little bit. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, did you add person? Did you add it? Okay, now we're going to add a parameter to person, which is going to be, guess what? Okay. It could be location, but persons, in contrast to all the other resources, are going to be mobile.
So it shouldn't be a parameter.
Yeah. Oh, I'm tempted, but we're gonna forsake it. My students can help you elaborate this if you'd like to do something. But we're going to do this with a parameter, but we're going to associate it not with a location, but with a home. Their actual location will be varying over time. They're going to go to workplaces and come back from workplaces. And what I was sorely tempted, so it's not going to be called location, it's going to be called home. Sometimes they're going to be at home, sometimes they're going to be at a workplace. So we're going to associate them with a home, and guess what the type of that home is going to be? Is it going to be a double? Is it going to be an integer? Is it going to be a workplace? Is it going to be a home? It's going to be their home. Incidentally, that was the reason I added homes first. And there's a second reason, because when we have the person population created, I want the homes to already be there so we can just assign them to pre-existing homes. Okay? Secondly, we're going to assign them a workplace. Now, the thing I was sorely tempted to do is to have an agent, depending on age, to have either a workplace or a school. Kids go to school based on their age. Parents go to workplaces. And based on their age, you use one or the other. If there's overwhelming interest in this, you will add about 10 minutes or 15 minutes to the exercise. 10 minutes, probably. How many people would really like to see schools and workplaces done by age for different ages of people? Okay. Counts? Okay. Okay. Sorry? 6? How many people would prefer not to see that? Okay. Okay. How many people not? 3? 4? Sorry? Okay, tell you what, we'll elaborate in that direction if we have time, okay?
We can add that to the sheet, and I can just put in.
Sure, sure, that's great, or we could provide the copy of that model. Okay, fine, so we're gonna have a home, and now we're gonna have a workplace, okay? A workplace associated with each person. It's gonna be a workplace, and there we go, and the workplace, guess what type that will be? It'll be workplace. Okay? Are we okay with that? So I'll tell you what the secret. The first bunch of boot camps I gave, I did so it was entirely live models. So I go the 5 days, and I'd be creating the models in my head while I delivered them, and that added some stress to the occasion because I kind of have to come up with parameter values that would be interesting in scenarios on the fly, and it was a lot of fun, but it added stress. So eventually I started writing things down. But typically during each boot camp, I do a significant amount of ad-libbing to try things out, variations around the theme, and this one actually draws on 2 totally separate things that have often been done separately, and I draw some inspiration from each of these, but this is terra incognita. So I'm having to work some extra things out in my head, how to do it elegantly. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to add a population of people. How do we do that? What do we need to do? Yeah, you can see this is a workout. This is like doing your regular workout. Okay, so we're going to do what? Drag from person into main. We're going to go down main. Okay. Okay. Population. Population. And what else do we have to do besides calling it a population to make it a population? Yeah. Population of agents. Now the plot thickens, ladies and gentlemen, in several regards. Number one, we've been just leaving this as 100, and I want to firm that up. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to firm it up. So we're going to have a population size that we can vary from scenario to scenario. How am I going to have a feature of this model whose value we can vary from scenario to scenario without needing to go back and modify main every time to change the population? I could just change something for each scenario, say for this scenario use this population, for that scenario to use another. How do I do that? Through a what? Okay, there's going to be experiments to do this. How am I going to state the assumption for a given run, for a given main? How am I going to state the assumption to use what population and communicate it from the experiment to here? I use a parameter. So the parameter we're going to add is population size, and it's from the palette. Okay? This is a parameter, and it's called population size. Okay? Now this time it was slightly off of here, so I wasn't able to do it, so I didn't type it in time. I'm going to call it population size. I select the parameter and do it. What sort of type is this going to be? Is it a home? Is it a workplace? Is it a string? It's an integer because it's a count. Okay, and its default value, I'm going to say default value 10, okay? Just so that, because we're going to have a lot of network traffic hitting the AnyLogic servers from the class saying, give me a route, give me a route, give me a route. And I want to use a smaller population at first. You could run it on your own for much larger populations, etc. So it's going to be a population 10. Now, just because we called this population size, does that make it automatically the population size? What do we have to do to make that operational? Change the population size associated with the population. So what should this say instead of 100 for the population? Okay, this dot population size. Okay? Okay. Okay. Now, time is a fleeting. Time is a fleeting, and I'm sorely tempted. I'm having an internal civil war at the moment about whether to do, how to do something, okay? Oh, I'm sorely tempted, but I'm going to simplify it. Okay. Sorry? Sorry, the parentheses? Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, for the number of workplaces, I am going to put in, and this is where my pragmatic size defeated my software engineering and sort of robustness side. What I really want to do is to add a parameter called people per workplace and create the number of workplaces to be the number of people in the population divided by people per workplace. But I'd have to round it to an integer, and I didn't want to have to force you to do that. So I'm just going to do this dot population size divided by 20. That's an integer, okay? So if there's 90 people, there's going to be 4 workplaces, okay? Okay? It's going to be an integer division. If there are exactly 100 people, it'll be 5 workplaces. Okay. It's not going to be rounding. It's actually going to be, as we say, flooring it, not in a driving sense, but in a sense of taking the integer floor of that. Okay? Okay. Okay, and number of agents for homes will be this dot population size, the number of people in the population. Okay, don't give me that. Divided by, sorry. This dot population size divided by 3. So there'll be an average of 3 people per home. Is that okay? That's where those come from. If we had more time and the buffet didn't beckon from yonder building, I would probably put in these parameters like people per home, people per workplace, so we could engage in probing behavior on those for different experiments. But I'm going to leave it like that, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to build early and I'd like you to build often. So following my injunction, I'd like you to press build, make sure it's happy. The TAs stand ready, a veritable phalanx to confront the challenges of any logic. Okay? Who needs TA help? Okay? Okay, now I'd like you to run the model and see what we have thought. Okay? Here we go. Where are the people? Well, okay, there's something there. Let's go see where are the people. You know what we forgot to do? Yes. What haven't we done now? So where are the people? Wherein do they lie? Wherefore art thou? Look at that. Where are they? I see one, but where are the others? They're underneath them. They're stacked like cordwood alongside Idlewild Drive. Okay, so there's something we haven't done, and it's the thing that I criticized myself for having left undone yesterday. What haven't we done for this parameter? Speak on. Yeah, we didn't place it. We didn't blend them. We have these parameters, but we neglected to specify the value of those parameters. Okay? The values of those parameters were left unspecified. So, thanks a ton. We didn't see for their home and workplace, we didn't specify. Do you see that? See or not? See. Okay. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, now what I'd like you to do is to go to home here, and we're going to specify their home is going to be homes.random. We're going to draw one of the homes to be the home for this person. And for their workplace, we're going to do workplaces.random. Do you see that? Do you see that? So for each person in the population, we're going to draw from the set of all homes. We're going to pick them a random home. And for workplaces, we're going to pick a random workplace for them. Is that okay? And on average, you know, if we have 100 people and there are 10 homes, and there are 50 homes, on average, some homes will have 3 people, some might even have 4, some might have 1. It's even possible that some will be empty. Okay. Okay, yes, question.
If you go to a person and you go to the respective parameters, home and workplace,
Yeah.
do you need to define the type as an agent?
No, you need to define the type as home and as workplace.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. Agent, so we'll get to this in the Java tutorials that we started those yesterday, and we'll be continuing on. So both home, workplace, and in fact person, and for that matter clinic, are what we call subtypes of agent. All of them are agents. All the features and functionality associated with agents, in fact all the assumptions about them, apply to these so-called subtypes as well. So a person is an agent, a home is an agent, and by virtue of agenthood, they have certain powers to like show themselves in certain ways and to move to places, etc. And so agent is a more general type of thing than like person. Within person, we want their home to not just be to any old agent. We want their home to be a home. We want their workplace to be a workplace, not any old workplace. Okay? Okay. And not any old agent, rather. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So we have this simulation with 10. Let's go create a new simulation. New experiment with this will be called population 100, and not surprisingly, it will be distinguished by having a population of 100. Okay, let's go run that. Population 100. Are we okay with that? Let's go run it. The time ticks. There we go. So now we have people. Now, interestingly, people are still appearing there. Okay, that's no problem. You notice people are still beside Idlewild, but at a logical level, let's go down to the person, and you notice this person is associated with a certain home and a certain workplace. This other person is associated with a different home. Do you see that? So they're associated with workplaces and homes. Why are they still appearing along Idlewild? Because we haven't told them to go home. We haven't yet told them to go home. May we do so? Okay. So there are several ways we could do this. We are going to do it with a familiar mechanism. And ladies and gentlemen, we needed to cover there were three things that were imperatives to cover early today, and this may finish up after lunch, but I'm hitting all three things requested or addressed in our schedule. Number one, GIS. Number two, DES, street vector simulation. We're going to cover that. Number three, contagion. This model will be home to all three. Okay? And it is towards this crescendo that we work. It is towards this crescendo that we build. And following a hearty repast, we'll be adding crown jewels to the model. Jewels whose glitter and resplendence you will hopefully appreciate even after, while your stomach is sated. Okay, so, I would like to go now to person. Yes? Yeah. Well, yeah. So we'll be doing that in just a minute. Okay. Thanks, Tina. Appreciate it. Okay. So for person, I'd like to go add in 2 state charts. The first state chart will be one associated with. I'm doing this in a slightly different order than I normally do. This will be care-seeking state chart. Okay? Are we okay with that? Care-seeking state chart? Good or not? Okay? And it's going to have it's going to have 3 states. Are we ready? Are we ready? Care-seeking state chart. Who needs TA help? TAs? TAs are needed in Sector 2, front. Sector 1, TA. Sector 1. Others. The TAs are deploying. Who would like a TA? Who would like a TA to come back with you to your home, or to your workplace, I should say? Okay. We have talked half jokingly about having a TA auction on the final day, and okay. So care-seeking state chart. So we're going to add in a care-seeking state chart. There's going to be an at-home state first. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, folks, because I'm doing this live in my head. I'm not going to call it care-seeking. I'm going to say location state chart, okay? So there's going to be an element of care-seeking. There's also going to be an element of just sort of day-to-day movement, okay? So it's going to be location state chart, okay? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, are we ready for this? Are we ready? Okay, so in this place here, we're going to go at home. To at home, we're going to go to the entry action for at home. And we're going to say here, this dot move to, and we're going to move them to a certain location. You'll notice with move to, there's several options. We can move to a certain location distinguished by X and Y. We can also move to a point, which is at a certain location. So we're going to say this dot move to, and we're going to move them to their home. Okay? We're going to move them, ladies and gentlemen, to their home. So when they come into the state at home, they're going to be moved to their home. Are we okay with that? So they're going to go to their home. We're going to soon enough have them go to their workplace and go to a clinic from the workplace. Are we okay with this? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to go, in the project, I would like to go build, make sure it's hunky-dory. TA stand ready. Okay? And I'd like to run the larger size population. What do you think will happen at the initial time? Now you notice it's trying to do something. Okay, where are the people? They're at their homes. Do you see them there? Do you see them? Here, maybe it will help to zoom in. Maybe it will help to zoom in. I'm using the mouse button. I'll move this around. I'll try to get a good look at their home. So I'm zooming in. Hey. Yo. There it is. Do you see this gentleman in their home? Engaged in somnolent repose? Do you see that? You see it? Even prone. Look, it was 1 a.m. and there they are, sleeping. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here they are, and so it is with other homes. The peaceful. Okay, this one looks to be on a houseboat by appearances. But the community of Saskatoon is a peaceful one. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop the model. So we have people now at their homes. Do you see that? Okay, now the plot thickens. We're going to add a state at work. And we're going to have them move between home and work on a regular basis. Are we okay with this? We okay with this? Okay. This model acquires texture and exposes us to a growing set of skills. So here we have at work. Do we see that? At work. It's a state. And we're going to have a transition between the state from one state to the next. So this transition will be called heading to work. Heading to work. And we'll show the name on it. And the timeout of it, I'll teach you a trick. I'm going to teach you a trick, okay? So I'd like you here to have them head to work. And the trick will be a little bit easier to illustrate on the return trip. So I'm going to have another transition called heading home. Well, heading home from work. We could call it commuting home. Commuting home. That's a little bit less wordy. Jeff will probably like it. Okay? There we go. Commuting home. And probably we should have called it commuting to work. Okay? But the commuting home, ladies and gentlemen, we showed the name. The timeout here will say that they remain at work for 8 hours. So the timeout will be 8 times hour. Okay? Any logic has in it these functions that you could say like 8 times hour, and it will convert that into the time unit of the model, which is days. Okay? Alternatively, you could just say 8, and we could pick here hours. Do you see that? 8 hours. Do you see that? We could just pick hours here. And for heading to work, I will rename that commuting to work. It's a strange feature of English on which Kurt can muse. That you say, I'm commuting home, but you don't say I'm commuting work. So here I'm going to make this 16 hours. So it's a regular pattern within the day, okay? Okay. Are we okay with this? Are we okay? Okay. And what's missing to have them actually go to work on the map? What do we need to do? Sorry? Yeah, we could specify a route. We will actually have them go via the shortest route. And in the map, you can actually say, what's the default route? Is it the shortest? Is it the fastest? I think we actually have fastest in this by car. But we could have set it by foot. We could have set it by bike. And I'm told, I don't know, but I've been told, and I believe this is the case, that it's possible in a given model to have some people commute via bike or some people via car.
Yeah, you can, there's I think there's an option to say cut like a routing method in the GIS areas, and you can specify any population or agent type to use that as opposed to the default one in the map.
Okay.
So that should be able to be set up.
Great, thanks. That's very valuable. Okay, so for the entry action to at work, I am going to have it do this dot move to, and this troubles me, but I'm going to do it. I'm tempted to put it on the commuting to work, but there's a reason I'm doing this. I'm going to do this dot move to, and where do I move to for work? This dot workplace, my workplace, not my neighbors, my workplace. Are we okay with that? Not my neighbors, not my spouses, but my workplace. Are we okay with that? Okay, let's build. And ladies and gentlemen, let's run this model. Okay? Population 100. Now, there's going to be a lot going on. I'm going to actually run the smaller simulation because it's going to be hitting the AnyLogic servers for every person in the class to go from every person's home. Something. Oh, look at that. Okay. The plot thickens. Fascinating. Maybe it's because. Okay, I don't have a good explanation for that. I'll let the TAs muse about that. I'm going to try running the larger model. I'm wondering if it's due to a singular factor with the small population. I'm doing the large population now. So, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice it's routing. Not surprisingly, it's, I think, 8 hours into the day. You notice, where did they go now? Whither did they go? Wheretofore art thee? You see where they are? Where are they now? Oh, do you see what's happening? What's going on? Maybe I'll slow it down to lend it an extra degree of visibility. Do you see this? Here they're at work, and then what happens? What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What's happening? Yeah, they're moving from home to work and back. Do you see that? Here we go. And when it comes time for the end of the day, they're going to go, or sorry, to work time, they're going to go into work. And they will repair there to work. It's coming up here. It's coming up. I've slowed it down very deliberately so we can see it. See that? There they go. Do you see them? they're heading along Circle Drive. Did you see that? Yeah. I'll speed it up a little bit, and now they've repaired home, and here they go. Okay, I'm going to slow it down again. For those who didn't catch the exciting event, it's not quite the eclipse, but it's pretty good. It approacheth. Okay, here we go. I'm going to slow it down. This is going to be in slow-mo here. Okay, hey, let me slow. Okay, it's about to occur. Within seconds, we're going to have movement, and I'm doing it as slow as any logic gets. Here we go. Okay, so within seconds, we will see the assortment take place. Watch them move along the routes. Some are going along Warman Drive. So look at that whole set along Circle Drive. They're proceeding. See this one? He's late for work. Oh, there he is. Okay, you see that? Yes.
So if someone is in a houseboat, do they just pass to the nearest road, or?
Mumble. Yes. Scott answers yes. They go to the nearest road, perhaps with an aqueous journey for first.
Specifically, I believe the route they take is literally found perpendicular to the closest route, I believe.
There's actually a setting for that.
Yeah.
You can have them go straight or throw an arrow.
Yeah.
Or so.
Go to the routing section.
Okay, that's great, Alan.
It's probably because in that simple simulation, which is small, you have a population of 10, and then you say the workplaces is 10 divided by 20. So it's going to.
Oh, there's no
It's
workplaces.
going to have 0 workplaces. It's probably best to do that as a parameter for that scenario.
Good call. So the problem was, for the small population, we had no workplaces. So when it came time to go to work, bad news happened, because they said, I have no work to go to. And that led to a crash of the economic system. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, we have this compelling simulation. This is something that, man, even Christine would probably have quite some interest and might be pleased. So watch this, Christine.
Okay.
Check it out.
I'm watching.
Okay. Okay. This is a lot of fun. Do you recognize this fair city?
I recognize that first.
Okay. Watch this. Okay. This is coming up. Okay. Just I'm slowing this down, and within seconds we're going to see people head to work. See them? Look at them going along Circle Drive. Do you see them?
I do. It looks like ants in my backyard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So pretty nifty. Okay. Yeah.
Why people
Yeah.
go to commuting the workplace at 4 p.m.?
Mumble. So okay, great question. The reason is that we had them start. Okay. Yeah. So we had them. Okay, we had them start at home at time 0, and we had them wait 16 hours before going to the workplace. So that led them, on the first day, they were placed in bed at midnight, and they waited 16 hours before going to their shift at 4 p.m. Okay, and then they work from 4 p.m. to the midnight, and then they commute home. Now, if we wanted to change that, we could do it. I'm trying to think about a way to do it really simply. But what we could do is we could set, I believe this would work, we could go and probably set the start date to be a certain time of day. So like 8 p.m. or something. See, there's the start date here. We could set this to be p.m. at 8 p.m. when the model starts. And I believe that this would now, I started at 7, okay. I thought I changed it to 8, but I may have accidentally, here's 8 p.m. I'm going to save this model. I'm going to run this, and here we go. Okay, so now we have people going back and forth, and I believe now, okay, I'd like to show you one feature. This is actually a really nice factoid about AnyLogic that's little known. I'm not sure I've ever taught this in my boot camps, or at least not for several years. To start this model in its initial state, just go to the initial state and show what's going on at the initial time. You press this button here. Don't yet do run. You press this button. Okay, this is the step button to the next event. So we're just going to do this. It's going to put us at time 0, and you notice it's 8 p.m. Do you see that? Now we can go view the high-level model here, and we see people have not yet gone home. I'm going to go to the next event. Oh, you see them starting to move along the thoroughfares, don't you? Look at that. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. I'm just keep on pressing the step. So as they're distributing to their homes, you see they're heading home? I guess they were engaged in a meeting over on Idlewild, and now they're headed home, and they're still heading home. Notice it's time .01, so it's about 8:15. Some of them are still heading home, and we could continue to do this, and they're reaching their homes, most of them before 8:30. Do you see that? Do you see that? I believe, John, that's addressed your question. And it also shows how we can use the calendar. Be aware, though, be mindful that this is specific to an experiment, so we could have another experiment start at a different time of day if we want to examine the adverse effects of the graveyard shift or something like that. Okay. So after lunch, Christine is here to make sure that I don't deprive you of a timely lunch, and I'm grateful for that. So we will shortly be commuting to lunch along routes that the TAs help identify. After lunch, we are going to add in a layer of health status that will lead to communication of infection and care seeking, and with the clinic, and then we'll finish that up for the project board. Okay, and that will hit the 3 priorities, including the newly identified requested one for today. That's it. Thank you so much. We'll make sure the room is locked for lunch. Enjoy the buffet, and we'll reconvene for the final crown jewels of the model. Thank you very much.
Okay, so why would you not have started that at 8 a.m.?
Stop recording. Because we started people at home. If we had started them at work, we could have done it at 8 a.m. That would have been a nice way to do it.
Well, no, I was just wondering because I'm thinking that if we're starting it at 8 p.m., people are going home.
Yeah.
But if we're starting it, like, what were we trying to get?